Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still here after all these years, after all these tears I shed. I'm still here and I'm walking this earth like I should be. There was days that I didn't know if I would be. Yeah, yeah. Now I stand tall with my feet in the ground and my head in the clouds. 'Cause I'm still here like I should be. Yeah, yeah, like I knew that I could be. Here we go, here we go. I'm still here. I'm here.
Welcome back. Wanted to do this podcast because I often get asked what I eat. And I understand that, but I also feel like it's really important to know that there isn't one prescription for the way that you should eat. I remember back in the early days where I was like looking for any kind of information I could have with people that had were trying to live with metastatic cancer, and I came across some things that were like, you have to do this exactly. And I feel the opposite of that. I think it's really important that you work from what feels good to you. Of course, we can always make improvements and do those kind of things, but I like to think about this as not a diet episode, right? It's really just how can I help my body be at its best? And I like to follow the food rules mantra by Michael Pollan. And eat, he says, eat real food, mostly plants, less is more. And I just think that's a good way to start, right? Let's eat less processed food. Let's eat a lot of diversity in terms of what we're putting into our bodies because different foods do different things for us. And let's just start from there. If that is too overwhelming because you need like more guidelines, you want somebody to tell you exactly what to do, well, I would tell you that we can at least break it down. But let's talk a little bit about old nutrition advice was like perfect, doing it perfectly. And I just don't feel like that's the case anymore. Let's do what is sustainable, what is nourishment for your body, what is something that is not controlling your entire life. Let's guide our thought and our the way we move forward by how we feel. Do we have more energy? Are we less tired? All of those kind of things matter, and that's really where I work from right now. So when I think about eating first, the foundations of that, I do kind of divide up my plate on a regular basis, right? And the first thing I am thinking about is protein. And if Larry were here and in the first episode, he would tell you that protein is way overdone right now and that you don't need the crazy kind of protein that people talk about. And it's honestly, we know that one of the things that makes protein get promoted so much is the fact that people can make money off it. So let's be honest about that. But what I have found is that when I think about a meal and I add protein to it, along with ideally fiber, right? And so protein and fiber are my main things that I am thinking about. When I'm eating from that stance, I feel better. I don't crash in the same way. I am happy with my energy. It just feels better to me. So I would say protein comes first for me because I know how it makes me feel. It helps me stay steady throughout the day, and it helps me be able to keep going without crashing. I will say our American diet, when you think about breakfast, is really light in protein, or it's all like just carbs. And again, carbs can be energy. I don't want to get into the logistics of that kind of stuff. But for me, I think about when I eat things that kind of immediately convert, I crash really fast. And you might be in the same boat as me. So I'm going to look at building a plate. I'm going to look at what is my protein source. I do eat meat. So I use chicken. I use a lot of, like, I'll do shredded chicken quite often. I often also, at the beginning of the week, will make just brown up like a pound of hamburger, which for us is like really, really lean ground beef, and also some ground turkey. I just put it all together. So I have that I can use throughout the week. My son uses it as well. My husband does too sometimes. But when we have a couple of proteins in the fridge all the time, that's really helpful. The other thing that I will say is you can get protein from other things as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. When I'm looking at a breakfast, my protein is generally not and a meat like to start the day. A lot of times I do Greek yogurt and I add a mixture of chia, hemp, and flaxseed that's ground up and put in. I use that for it has a lot of good qualities. The flax needs to be ground. You can buy it on Amazon already done together, or you can mix it yourself, whichever one you want to do. But I'll just put a teaspoon of that on my Greek yogurt to help with both fiber and protein. Win win. And then I'll go from there. So again, just to stay on the protein thing, I will also look at how can I add extra protein in terms of can I add some beans? Can I add some other things? If we're going to do like a taco-y type of mixture for which is ground beef, ground turkey, we'll always add in a can of beans as well. I mean, again, just another source, makes me feel good. Why not do it? So the other thing that I think I heard something recently that 2025 was all about protein and 2026 is going to be all about fiber. And fiber is something that at least 95% of Americans do not get enough of. And I just really feel like some systems need more fiber than others, and mine is one of them. So I am always thinking about how can I add more fiber. So let's go back to my breakfast. I'll do Greek yogurt, a tablespoon of chia, hemp, flaxseed. I actually throw in some basil seeds as well. Again, just read about them. If you want to use them, use them. That stuff is just easy for me to add in. I almost always do raspberries along with it, either fresh or frozen. Raspberries are a fiber bomb and I love them. They're one of my favorite fruits. So I use them. I'll put a little bit of honey on the Greek yogurt because I buy plain. And then I will add a tablespoon or two of Fiber One cereal. All of this is probably just over a half a cup. It is not a lot of food. I don't really love to eat in the morning, but I know I feel better if I eat in the morning. So I will make those for the week. I'll put them all together. The fiber one is better if you add it at the end. So either put it in a little baggie to take with you, or sorry, Otto is eating something as usual. It's probably fiber for him. Just kidding. So anyway, I will make 3 or 4 of those for the week. I will say if you're a meal prepper, you have to figure out what works for you. I don't want 5 of anything. I just don't. I get tired of things. I do something different one day, whatever. I can always do a protein shake and some raspberries for breakfast, or a couple weeks ago I made like egg sandwiches where I used whole wheat egg muffins. I did when I'm making eggs now for breakfast sandwiches, I always do an egg cottage cheese mixture. You can Google, there's a million recipes. I bought these little silicone pans that actually are the size of kind of a breakfast sandwich egg, like you would get from McDonald's or something. So I'll make those. And again, by adding the cottage cheese, you're upping the protein in there and it makes them just smoother. I don't know. Eggs and I don't love them, but I think they're a little bit better that way. So I'll do that too. Just what you need to do is just have a few meals that, especially to start your day, that you can kind of be your go-to. I've done in the past, I've done things like made kind of a bread sort of situation where I'll just use egg, oatmeal, banana, um, and then like I'll add fruit into it. And again, my seed mixture, you can just cook that like you would a bread. You could eat it with some yogurt. You could do whatever you wanted with that. But again, protein, fiber, where am I getting those things? So let's talk about like for lunch for me. Again, I also usually meal prep. My favorite go-to lunch would be like a chopped salad, which I almost always add spinach to a chopped salad because I generally get chopped salads that have like the cabbage in them because that's just better for you. It has more fiber in it, that kind of thing. Not all vegetables have fiber, which is definitely something that I had to learn. Spinach doesn't have fiber in it, so can I add a veggie that is going to be fibrous to it? So I'll do half of a chopped salad with some spinach and some chicken on top of it. That's like my easy peasy go-to type of lunch. I don't get tired of them. It works for me. So my other alternative to that for lunch would be leftovers, and leftovers obviously come from what you have for dinner. My general dinner, a lot of the times right now, is I think about making a bowl of some kind. When you're talking about a bowl, I just think about adding a protein, a vegetable, and a lot of times a grain. We can talk a little bit about grains. First, I would say just eat what you want, eat what feels good to you. That's fine. It doesn't have to be the most nutritious to be in your bowl, but I would say less is more for that. I usually, when I do add a grain, I usually do brown rice and quinoa together. And I just feel a little better about eating that. But sometimes I'll do brown rice, sometimes I'll do jasmine rice. It is what it is. I've just found that I used to add like a big scoop of that, and now it's much smaller. I use convenience rice, the 90-second packets, which Aldi has a pretty good selection of them, and they're way cheaper than they are at any other store that I've found. So I'm not trying to work harder, I'm trying to work smarter. Protein wise, chicken, ground beef. I like a lot of like, I'll do like something like vegetables. I'll do whatever I have. Sometimes I roast a lot of broccoli. I'll do mixed vegetables type of thing. I love peas. Anything I can throw in there, I will add to this bowl. And I would say probably twice a month, I'll make a bunch of sweet potatoes, enough for the week so that I can also do add that in there if I need or if I want them. I love sweet potatoes, so that's easy for me. My friend and I just went this last weekend. We went shopping at a market that has all sorts of cool fruits and vegetables, and we found purple sweet potatoes, so we bought those. Turns out we bought two different kinds. One has a white flesh and one has a purple flesh. Anytime you're trying those things, you're getting a lot of different. You're getting antioxidants when you've got a lot of rich color. They were both good, and I'll keep buying both of them. So just adding a little variety to that. I think the important thing when you're making something just kind of from a basic recipe, be it, like chicken, rice, and broccoli type of situation, is what are you going to add to it that makes want to eat it again? I love like Japanese barbecue sauce. I love bulgogi sauce. Sometimes I add both to that. I like to take it like Mediterranean and do something more like a tzatziki or a white sauce. If you guys have a We have a chain around us called Pita Way. They make the best bowls, and I've learned a lot from like, oh, okay, they do things like pickled turnips. Their rice has, you can get golden raisins and slivered almonds in it. So good. But just also hummus they'll put in there, or they have a white sauce, which I was like, okay, how do I make this? And whenever you're talking about like meal prep or even recipes, like Chat GPT is your friend. I don't think it's the best with recipes, but I have been working with it to like kind of have three sauces that are kind of my go-tos that I can put on bowls to make better, make me want to eat them. I will say the other thing with bowls, excuse me, is it's if you have a few things in your house to kind of elevate them, it makes them way better. So I learned from a friend that I could do a quick pickle and do that for different vegetables. So now I keep in my fridge, I keep a thing of red onions, cucumbers, and carrots, and they're all pickled. They just add that little acid, right, to your bowl. I do some nuts on top, do some seeds, sesame seeds, whatever kind of sunflower seeds. There's all different options with that. So just layering in some flavor is really helpful when you're thinking about how do I kind of keep eating the same thing again and again. Vary the vegetables and the fruits, right? One of the things that I also love to kind of think about is that eat 30 plants a week. I've talked about that in the past on here, but you can just get a download for that. But it's just, again, that's talking about diversity and how it's good for your gut and all of that kind of stuff. I will say it's fine to be consistent with the foods that you love, because it's more important that you eat fruits and vegetables that you like than that you try a bunch of stuff that you hate. There's a few things that I'm just not going to ever like. I don't like beets. I've tried. I don't like eggplant. Again, just not for me. That's okay. But I can vary the other things and work seasonally in terms of deciding what I'm going to eat and what's available in terms of fruits and vegetables. I find that in the winter, I crave grapefruit every year, and I'll just buy the jar of grapefruit that it's in juice, but it's not in sugar. So I love that. I know there are certain medications that you can't eat grapefruit if you're on them. I'm sorry. I can eat grapefruit and I like it. I like pomegranate, that's seasonal. You can just do whatever you want with that. The other thing that I've added recently, because it's good for digestion and also has a lot of fiber, is kiwi. So, again, if Larry were here, he thinks it's actually just crazy, but I've just been eating them whole. So I always thought you had to like peel them. And then I was reading about it, and it's like, actually, it's best if you eat the skin and everything. If that totally grosses you out, of course, you can do whatever you want. But or if you want to kind of ease into it, you can buy, there's a golden kiwi. It's a little more expensive, but it's yellow inside, and the outside of it is not as furry. So literally I have just started eating them the same way you'd eat an apple. I just don't eat the one end of it, probably where it was attached. So kiwi are great, right? So I'm just always thinking about how can I provide my body with fuel that is going to be good for it so it can do its job. And also, like, how can I eat things that I enjoy with the least amount of like preparation, and how do I just keep it simple? There's some amazing like meal prep things out there. There's also, if you have the resources to do it, you can buy stuff already made, right? But all of this to say, like, you have to just work from what works for you, right? I should say, we talked a lot about breakfast. Always on my list is coffee. I love coffee and I'm not going to give it up, and I'm not going to be worried about the caffeine. I have started putting creatine in my coffee to help build muscle. And so that would be great if you want to add that. That's one thing when I was working with the dietitian that she was like, "Yep, I do feel like this is worthwhile to do, and you can just put it in any kind of drink and it doesn't taste like anything, so it's fine." I do use creamer with my coffee. I change creamers all the time. Some for a long time it was the Silk half and half, which was coconut milk and almond milk, I think. It's harder to find, so I don't always get it. I've been doing a lot of Chobani lately. Whatever you want to do, I am past sweating the small stuff. I'm going to do the things that bring me joy and also I don't think they impact me too much. So that's a whole lot of eat this, right? There's a lot of choices out there. Put it together in a way that makes sense for you. But here's the not that, right? Don't go into this all or nothing. If you don't have if you don't have anything healthy one day, you don't. And if you're in treatment, some days it is literally what can I get in my body, and that's fine. That is just, you need whatever you can get to in terms of nutrition. Do that, right? So don't keep going with the all or nothing thinking. No fear-based food rules. Like, this is, you're doing the best you can, and when you can do better, you will. Stop. That was the ice maker. Come on. Come on. Okay. I don't want you to eat and feel guilty about it. I want you to think about the enjoyment of food. I want you to believe that you're doing the best you can. I truly, truly feel like guilt and shame add a whole nother layer to anything that we do that can be destructive. So leave it alone. Like, you, stress and guilt affect your health as well. And I just want you to leave that to somebody else. So the 2026 eat this, not that rules are this: eat what supports your energy, eat what feels good to you and what your body digests well, eat what you can on repeat. Of course, you can change out different vegetables to get some diversity and let go of the rest. This one thing that I hate about cancer, and well, there's a lot of things I hate about cancer, but one thing I hate that people do to people with cancer is they blame them and shame them. What did you do? What are you eating? Why aren't you? You have to let all of that go, and you need to shut it down. You can shut it down in other people. So, this is not a blame game. Food is fuel, food is enjoyment, food is nutrition. It's all of these things. It's not one thing or the other. And blaming you or allowing someone else to blame you is not okay. So, all of that to say, normalize imperfection. I don't know about you. I love candy. I think I've said that on here before. I don't eat it nearly as much as I used to, but it's really funny for me. Candy is always based on the holidays. So we're coming up into Valentine's Day, which, again, not that it's a big holiday in my life, it's certainly not. But those conversation hearts that are like the real ones, that are literally pure sugar, that's what I want. So I'm going to buy myself a bag of conversation hearts if I can find them. They were a little hard to find in the last couple of years, and I'm going to enjoy them. And the funny thing about that is I've realized that actually once I do that, I can just let it go and move on, right? So candy on a drive occasionally, or candy because of what's coming up. And again, it's amazing how you train your brain. My brain is trained that, like, what's the next holiday? What's the next candy? I don't need a lot of it. I just want a little bit of it. And that's okay. I can do that. I have a sweet tooth, and I tend to, last week I had a crazy week, and I had a day that I got a lot of things done and some things that I had been putting off. And so I decided, after I had done that, to go. It was still morning. I went to my favorite coffee shop, shout out Tim Hortons, and I got a coffee that I love, and I got a glazed donut. I love glazed donuts. I don't want to keep them in my house because I would probably destroy them all. But I think that having one as a treat every now and then is perfectly fine. I would rather you think about it that way than thinking about all the things you can't have, right? Think about how to add things in small bits, but also don't shoot for perfection. Perfection is just a cause of anxiety and stress, and it's not worth it. So I would love it if you want to share this with someone else who you talk about food with, and just as you move forward, just do the best you can with what you have. And remember that things change over time. So if you're having a tough time right now, it could get better. And do what works for you for now. If you want to see the 30 fruits and vegetables, I think that stuff is really fun to look at, and just kind of helps you go, oh yeah, it's 30 plants a week. I should say that. If you want to see the 30 plants a week list, just Google that. It's more than just fruits and vegetables. It's nuts and seeds and grains, and it's just kind of a fun reminder. I look at it and go, oh yeah, I do love pumpkin seeds. Like I should get those out or whatever. How to vary things and do them in a way that's easy. So, all right. Well, thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching and being a part of our community. It means the world to us. Our goal is always to help as many people as possible live well with cancer. You can help us by subscribing and sharing episodes when you hear of others that could benefit from it. We really appreciate your time spent with us and your commitment to offering hope and inspiration to others.